Hello, fellow modelers, Bruce here. Well, the holidays are behind us and I'm back to the modeling bench. And first up in the new year, in terms of a new project, is to get back to this Campbell Scale Models Iowa School House. I did a video on the purchase of this and a description of all the parts that were missing, and the instructions were missing and so forth. And I said at some point I would build the kit, and that's what I'm doing now. So if you go back and look at that video, and I'll put a link probably at the end of this video to that previous video, you knew that I didn't have the instructions, but I was pretty sure I had a friend who did. And indeed, I have those instructions now, copies of them, and very, very helpful in proceeding. And I see I made a few wrong assumptions in that previous video, which I'll describe in a minute. But I've already started to the gluing process. This magnetic gluing jig here, which is available from Micromark, I bought many, many years ago, probably 15 years ago at this point. Don't use it much, but every once in a while it comes in handy. All of these corners are at 90 degrees, and these magnets hold things in place. Now, these magnets are the originals, and they have not lost one bit of their magnetism. They are really, really tough, and they help you keep things in place. So over here in this corner, I have the rear wall of the schoolhouse. And it was two parts, and I had to glue it together. And this keeps them at perfectly 90 degrees and so forth. And these magnets kept this odd-shaped peaked roof in place. And now what I'll have to do is put some bracing on it because there's a slight curl to it, and also this is obviously a weak spot. Campbell says to glue it right on top of the paper and glue the paper to the back of the wall to add stability. But I think I'm just going to put wood bracing on the back and continue on. But let me get this jig out of the way. Served its purpose for the moment. Be using it again on the front wall. Okay, I told you I had gotten the instructions, which opened my eyes to a few things. Okay, let's make those corrections to the first part of the video. And at that point, I had mentioned that I thought that the side walls were two-part, as well as the front and the rear wall, and I had them sitting somewhat like this. And I was assuming that these were part of the side walls. I didn't have the instructions, but that's no excuse, because I should have been able to tell that putting these two together gives me a wall here that is way too tall for what the building is going to actually look like. These, the two of them that I had kind of like that, are the floorboards. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, when it comes to, oh, by the way these actually look when you build is like this. And what goes on top of these is trim boards that'll glue and extend the length of it. So that I'll be doing shortly. You can see I have painted the Campbell windows. I used Folk Art titanium white for that and the trim. So these are ready except for that top trim. And the front wall looks somewhat like this. And then you put the double doors in there when everything is glued together. That would look something like that. And I said that my assumption was that this gap here, down below the door, would be filled in with the steps. That's not true. And again, I have the instructions now. There is a small piece of wall siding that I did find in the package. It had been missed by the original owner when he painted these walls red. And so what I've done is realize that it's going to be totally covered up by the front steps and probably didn't have to be painted at all. But in case somebody could look around the side of those or whatever, I wanted it to be not jump out as an unpainted piece. So I did paint it a red color. It does not match. I made no attempt to make it match. But that'll fill in underneath there. And this was supposed to be a vent, not a window. And Campbell does sell a vent for that, but it was not in the package. So I enlarged the hole just slightly, and it will fit one of Campbell's small windows in there with no problem. So that's the way I'm going to proceed, and as I glue these together, I'll come back with an update. Talk to you soon. Okay, another real quick update. I've glued the windows in place on the side walls, and just a comment about that. This is especially true if you've inherited a kit that has been partially started, the way I have. But even if you are doing all the work yourself, this could happen. As you are getting the slots for the windows to the correct size, there's no problem if you cut them a little undersized, because you just take your filing stick and work on it and get them to the right width. Keep putting the window in place and trying it. However, if you inherit one or you cut one that is oversized, sometimes you can get away with it if it's not too bad, because especially on a Campbell window, the trim work around the window is fairly generous and will give you some wiggle room to cover up something that's oversized. In my case, I had one that was very oversized, and even though the window trim will cover it, it was hard to get the window, and so it wasn't cocked. So I put a shim in it. It was wide enough that I could use a scale 2x4. So I put a 2-inch shim along one side, then after that was dry, glued the window in place and to solve the problem. The other thing I am doing here is I have taken the second set of fascia boards for that overhang, and I've glued them to the proper angle here, right on top of the other one. And now I will, once that's dry, remove that, and I'll have that one ready for use. Alrighty, talk to you again soon. Okay, just a quick chimney update, in case any of you out there are actually going to build this kit. If you go back to my video on the unboxing of this structure when I first bought it, and I was listing the things that I thought were missing, I said there's only 2 pieces of chimney material, and there should be 4. Well, not true. When you finally get to step 14 of the plans, which is building the chimney, they tell you that there's only 2 pieces of chimney material, but they're a little over twice as long as you need them to be. So what you do is you cut 11 courses of brick into one stick, and you can get 2 out of each of those pieces that were in the kit. So now I have 4 pieces of chimney, each 11 courses of brick high. They ask you to paint the inside flat surface black. That'll be the inner part of the chimney. I didn't paint them. I just colored them with a broad Sharpie, black Sharpie. And now I'm going to assemble these. They're styrene, so you use styrene glue. They give you a wooden core to build it around. It's 3/32 by 3/32 piece of wood, 1.5 inches long. That was in the kit, and I will start building the chimney now. I want to build it now before I put the roof on, because I want to check the dimensions of this notch that you can see right here. That's the chimney notch in the ridge beam. Want to make sure that's big enough I don't have to file it or anything. So build a chimney, test it out, then put the roofs on. Talk to you then. Alrighty, a little update time. To show you where we're at, I guess, here first. The walls are all assembled, the foundation is on, the roof is on, and the chimney is on. And in the front, the roof over the front door is on. So the next thing I am going to do is work on the cupola, or bell tower, which is one of the distinguishing features here of the schoolhouse. So let's look at the plans real quick. And here's what it says. It is, let's see, step 16, the cupola assembly. And they give you the bill of materials. The cupola ceiling is a piece of square wood that measures 5/16 by 5/16 inch square and 3/64 inch thick. Now that is this piece of wood right here. So you just look in your bag if you have a new kit and you'll find it. So that's what they're calling the roof. Then you need one piece of the bell and the corbels. The bell is still in the bag. Let's see, I think I got the corbels laying here. I had painted them. Here's 6 corbels that go up in the bell tower. Make sure you can see them. Yes, you can. So we got those. And the wood, if you look at the blown up picture here, you have to build the rafters, which are A14, and you need the posts, which are A15s, and that's all going to be assembled to and around that roof that we looked at, that square piece. So this is the fiddly part of this construction, actually, is getting this thing to look good and be stable. So that's where we're going to do. We're going to be assembling it on the plans, doing the cutting right on the plans, and after I get everything but the roof assembled on it, I'll paint everything white. And once that's dry, we can put the roof on and then assemble it all. So here's what A14 is. You have to go looking on your bill of materials for A14, and it turns out to be an odd size. So let me just get to that a minute. It's always trying to find these someplace in the plans here. A14, well, actually I had found it and written it down here. A14 is 0.023, piece of strip wood, right? 23 thousandths by 46 thousandths by 3 inches long. So looking in your bag, the easy thing to measure is pieces that are very small, strip wood, that are 3 inches long. So here we have them. And whereas normally on fractional lumber, I can just put them in these slots here and get the measure to see which ones we're talking about. You can't do that with this one because this is an oddball. And so a tool that I don't often use in my modeling, but I use a lot in one of my other hobbies, is this caliber, dial caliber, and if you take one and measure it, you can see it, I think, is 0.023, and in the other dimension is about 0.046. So these are the pieces that are for the rafters of the cupola. So I will cut them by putting them right over top of the drawing. I'll cut 6 of them because that's what is required. And let's see, where's that other? Diagram of the cupola. There we go. So you need 6 of those cut to make the 3 rafters. I'm going to need to take A15, which is a piece that's 3/64 by 3/64, which is the same as the dimensions of the wood that goes up on the peaks of the roof. So I know that that's what this is. And those will be the posts, and we will start to assemble them. So I'll talk to you again as this thing becomes assembled, but this is the fiddly part of the construction. Okay, talk to you again soon. Sometimes it's some of the tiniest design elements on a kit that take the most time to build and are the most challenging when you get into your upper 70s and your hands are not as steady as they were when you were a younger man. But this bell tower or cupola on the Iowa School House is just that kind of design element, little detail. You can see here I have the bottom pretty much done and painted white, and I have the 3 frames up there on the roof, and each one of those is 2 pieces glued together. In fact, right now this little guy has 23, make that 24 with the bell, individual parts to it already. And I still have the 2 roof pieces and the roof shingles to add. So, yeah, time consuming, but probably one of the most important design elements on this little schoolhouse, one of the most distinctive. Next time you see it, the roof should be on and it should be in place on top of the roof. Talk to you again soon. Well, we're coming to the last stages of the build on the Iowa School House by Campbell. And you're down to the little fiddly bits that if you just take some care with them, just finish off the model nicely. And this is a railing for the front porch, and you can see that it's got 2 vertical posts. Those are 4x4s, and then a railing across the top which is flush on this side, which will be glued against the building. And it has a little bit of an overhang on this side toward the front of where the steps are, and I need 2 of those. And like with so many other things, what I do is I come over to my secondary construction area and do a drawing. By the way, these are butt joints where this butts up against the railing and this support butts up against the railing, and there's a tiny dab of Eileen's tacky glue on that, and after that sets up for 15 minutes or so, I come back with a pin and a pin vise, dip it in some ACC, some super glue, and just put the tiniest drop on each joint, and that gives you a pretty solid joint there now. So there's one railing, and I'm working on the second one. I just wanted to show you what I do. So here's the drawing on this piece of wood here. Taped a piece of paper to it, and with my square, just did 2 vertical lines that are the distance apart that I want the outside of the railing supports to be. And the supports are about 2.5 feet high. And I have cut them, and I have a piece of Scotch double-sided tape on the paper down here at the bottom, and I'm taking the vertical support and I'm putting it on so that it's on the inside of those vertical lines. So now they're stuck to the tape, and I will take just the tiniest bit of Aleene's onto the tip of a toothpick. I always want to say Q-tip. Toothpick here. Put just a little dab on that surface. And the same on here. You don't want a big gob there by any means. As it is, some paper will get stuck to this when I pry it up. But I will be able to just scrape that off with a razor blade. Now I take the railing that's going to get glued to the top, and here I want it to be flush, which I'll put against the wall, and the other side has an overhang. Tap it in, and now I will just let that dry for about 15 minutes, then come back with my super glue, put it on each joint, lift it off, and then I can install these onto the front porch. Okay, in a few minutes you'll see the final results of the build of this Campbell School House. That started out with a lot of parts missing and no instructions. Okay, talk to you again soon. Well, here's that schoolhouse finished. And it was actually not too difficult a save because I had the missing windows in my collection. And that I had a friend who was able to send me a copy of the instructions and those drawings to scale. So those were the two big things to overcome. There were some of the trim wood missing. That was just fractional lumber that I was able to get out of my stash. And there were some pieces missing on the shed back here, but again, I was able to save it, and at some point I thought, why am I even putting that on? Nobody will ever see it back there, but I wanted to complete this one as designed. It has a couple nice design features. Certainly the bell tower is one of them, and I had, like I told you before, I don't know, 26 different little fiddly bits that had to be glued together. And then the roof over the front door is another nice design feature, and that front porch. And it came together nicely, and I have certainly use for this, and put a couple of little kids on the front porch probably yet before I'm done, a little bit of weathering, and I'll call it good. But for right now, we'll chalk this up as another save of a Campbell kit that had been started by a previous owner, had some stuff missing. All the stuff that you see red had been pre-painted. I left it that color. Gotten some feedback that people would have preferred a less orangey red, but a little bit of chalks on there yet, and I think it'll be fine. So there we are, and as usual, I will say that if you enjoyed seeing this Campbell kit get saved, then please give this video a thumbs up. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. And I will be talking to you again soon. Take care.